Okay, so yesterday we learned about chapter 6, which is selecting employees. So after we select employees and we are sent the offer letter, and the person they agrees to work for our organization, right? But to make sure that this person they have the skills and the knowledge to perform the job, we have to train and develop them. Okay, because even if we hire a very good person from the beginning, we still have to do some training and maybe some orientation for this person to make sure that they know what to do and they know how to do it. So today's chapter is about the very important aspect of human resource management, which is training and developing employees. So we have these learning objectives, which is we talk a little bit about the employee orientation process. So orientation, welcome someone to the organization. And we can give an example how to use orientation to engage employees. The next learning objective we can learn is like to list and explain the process of training through 5 steps. So remember, training process is of 5 steps. So we will go through each of the steps and explain what they are. Also, we go to learn about the training techniques that are available so that we can use to think of when we train someone in the organization. And another important aspect is that we focus on management development. We develop the management team for the company, for the organization, and what are some of the methods to develop management. Okay, and last but not least, we answer the question: what is the difference between organizational development and organizational change? Right. So 6 learning objectives today. So first of all, we go to the learning objective number 1, which is the orientation process. So the definition of employee orientation: when someone new come into a new environment, when I change my job, I need to work in a new environment. Right? I have no idea about this new environment, so that my company will provide employee orientation to make sure that I am provided with background information about the firm. Something like where I can go to take a break, or what are the working hours, where I can go to have my lunch, or how can I turn off the electricity when I leave the building, when I leave the office. Something like this we need to learn in every new organization. Even though I have like 10 years experience working as a lecturer, for example, when I go to university, the Hoa Sen University, I need to learn from the basic to make sure that I can blend in this new environment, right? So to provide the orientation for employees, they have 4 purposes. First is to make someone feel welcome when they go into a new environment. And second, to make sure that they have the basic information, something like I mentioned before, working hours, what are general procedures and policies, something like that. And also, it helps to the new employees to understand about the organization in a broad sense, something like the vision and mission of the organization, something like the culture of the organization, right? In broad terms, to understand more about the environment, and to, of course, socialize the person into the firm's culture and the ways of doing things. So in different firms, they have different ways of doing things. Like in Hoa Sen, when we report what do we need to do, but maybe in another city like Van Lan, when we report what we need to do. Okay, so now can anyone tell me a synonym of orientation? Một từ đồng nghĩa của từ employee orientation là cái gì các bạn? If you read book before you come to the class, you will know this word. A synonym for employee orientation. Anyone know? Start with O. Okay. So employee orientation, we can call it onboarding. So remember two terms, right? So what is the process of employee orientation? Okay, it depends actually, because as far as I am concerned, some organization they ignore the employee orientation part. They don't really have the policies and procedures for employee orientation. They just spend like an hour to introduce to each other, and then the person starts to work. So it really depends on the organization and on what we want to cover in that orientation process. Okay, but in the normal way, the process will start from the human resource specialist or office manager. So they will be the first person to meet the new employee and explain the basic matters like working hours, the rules, the benefits, or vacations. Okay. And next, the human resource person. They will introduce this new employee to her new supervisor. And the supervisor will explain the organization, introduce the person to his colleagues, right? And familiarizing him or her with the workplace and helping to reduce the first day jitters. Jitters, something like that. Jitters means something that causes uncomfortable or something like that. Okay, and remember that for new employees, it is very important for colleagues and supervisors to socialize and integrate with the new employees to show them that they are welcome to the organization. Okay, so this is the orientation process or the onboarding process. And this slide is about the law in the U.S., which we have an employee handbook to give it to the new employees so that they can read and understand more about the company, about the policies. And then they have some technology to do orientation. Okay, read about this quickly in your book. Now, can anyone give an example of how to design onboarding to improve the employee engagement? So imagine on your first day go into work, right? How can you make people engage? How can you make new employees engage? Any example with extra mark? Các bạn cho một ví dụ như ngày đầu tiên đi làm mà có một cái hành động gì, cái hoạt động gì mà làm cho người mới họ cảm thấy được engage các bạn. Rất nhiều bạn đã học nhân sự đúng không? Thì các bạn hãy nghĩ tới những cái cách nào mà giúp cho nhân viên mới. Huy. tổ chức dẫn nhân viên đó vô phòng ban làm việc, chào hỏi hoặc tổ chức giao lưu. Ok, dẫn nhân viên mới vào phòng ban làm việc, cái đó là phải bắt buộc của một cái hoạt động orientation ha. Orientation mình có thể dịch cái việc là hoạt động định hướng nhân viên đó, hoạt động định hướng nhân viên. Rồi tổ chức buổi giao lưu thì cũng ok. Một ý kiến. Anyone else? Okay, so there are many examples we can think of when we want to improve employee engagement. Like what we said, we can have a meeting, social meeting. So buổi giao lưu, we can say social meeting, so everyone can join and make the person feel welcome. Or in my previous company, what we did was like for every new employee who came to the company, the supervisor will have to offer him or her a free lunch. And we go to have lunch together. Okay. Trong công ty cũ của cô thì mỗi người nhân viên mới vào ngày đầu tiên sẽ được người sếp bao ăn trưa hả các bạn, mời tất cả nhân viên trong ty ăn trưa, và riêng cái người mới vào thì sẽ được bao ăn trưa, cho người ta thấy một cái môi trường cởi mở, cho ta thấy một người sếp dễ thương chẳng hạn. So there are many ways to improve employee engagement through the orientation. And this is one of the example of Toyota again. So remember the last example in chapter 6, selecting employees, about Toyota selection process, right? And today another example of Toyota for their onboarding activity. Onboarding or orientation, the same thing, right? So for onboarding activities, this lasts 4 days, which is very, very long. 4 days is like nearly a week, because a week only 5 working days, and they have orientation for 4 days, sorry. In day 1, they welcome the employees. In day 2, they develop the communication and open communication, okay? And in day 3, they provide feedback about training and communication, okay? And in day 4, they have teamwork training and introduce about the Toyota suggestion system. The suggestion system here, if you can understand, this is about the system to suggest the people to promotion opportunities or to other opportunities within the organization. So look at here, we can see that Toyota, they care about the career of the employees. So this is also the way they can engage employees, because they know that when they contribute to the organization in Toyota, they can get promoted, and their career path is very bright. Okay. So if we go into a company and we don't see any opportunities or any growth opportunities, we will feel like dismotivated, unmotivated. We feel like that, right? So this is the end of the orientation part. Do you have any question about that? So if you don't have any question, now we move to training. So training is a very important element of the lecture today. So please pay attention, all right? So training is very simple definition. It's the process of teaching the new or current employees. So it's both new and current employees, the skills that they need to perform their jobs. So now, please understand that orientation is only for new employees, but training can be done for both new and current employees. Yes, understand this point maybe in your multiple choice test. Orientation is only for new employees. We use this term orientation. But training, we can train both new and current employees. When we already do the job, we still need training, maybe new knowledge, new skills. We still need training. Okay, and of course, we need training because we need the skills to perform the job, right? No one can do the job if they don't have the skills necessary for the job. And it can also ensure performance and safety. Imagine if you open a restaurant and you hire some waitress, and your waitress, they don't know about the food menu, they don't have any idea about the food that they serve the customer. How can they ensure performance, right? How can I do it? And safety reasons as well. If someone works in a dangerous environment, they need to know about the safety procedures and policies so that they can ensure safety, right? And just like orientation, training can strengthen employee engagement because training is also an opportunity for development. We work in the organization and we love that the more we work, the more skills we need, and the more skills we need, the more training we can be provided. All right. And last but not least, but to avoid negligent training, just like negligent selecting, negligent hiring before. So negligent training is a situation where we fail to train the employee and it's called the subsequent to a third party. Okay, so again, đào tạo ha, đào tạo là quá trình đào tạo nhân viên cũ và mới để họ có những kỹ năng làm công việc của mình. Các bạn nhớ onboarding định hướng thì chỉ có nhân viên mới mới thực hiện định hướng, nhưng mà đào tạo thì áp dụng cả nhân viên mới và nhân viên hiện tại ha. Và tại sao đào tạo thì nó có nhiều lý do mà mình tóm tắt ở 4 lý do ở đây. Bạn nhớ 4 lý do này. Ngoài ra còn có thể tránh được cái việc là đào tạo một cách lơ là để dẫn đến nhân viên làm việc sai và đem lại hậu quả cho những người khác. Right. So to train employees, we need to make sure that we align strategy and training. Because if you remember about the concept of strategic HRM, so strategic human resource management is the process of providing the human resource policies and practices that enhance the behaviors, the skills of the employees to make sure that they can perform the strategy of the organization. Okay, so remember a strategic HRM. So for training, it is the same. So the training needs to be aligned with strategy because we train the people with the skills that are necessary to do the organizational strategies. So the goals of training should be aligned with the strategic plans. For example, if our company this year they want to improve their technological system, okay, IT system, but we don't have any IT expert in the company, okay, and now we want to have someone with these IT skills to have the system work or to have developed the system. So now that is our strategic plan, and to perform this strategic plan, we need to have the goals for training for these people. But the goals is maybe to train them with a new knowledge in IT area so that they can be able to develop a system for us. So this is about whenever we train someone, we need to relate the training purposes or the training goals with the goals of the organization. Okay, and then according to strategic HRM, we identify the behavior and competencies that we need to execute our strategy, right? So we before we design the training program, we need to think about the strategies of the whole organization and the training goals. When we go to the process of training, we have this ADDIE model of 5 steps. So please remember these 5 steps. ADDIE. So A for analyze the training needs. The first D for design the training program. The second D is to develop the course or develop the training program. And the I for implement. So when we develop, we implement, we train the people. After we train, we come to the E, which is evaluate the course effectiveness. Evaluate if our training program delivers the results that we expected. All right. So we will go through the first each of the steps here to see what they are and some of the points we need to consider. First, we go to analyze the training need. Okay. So of course, when we want to train people, right, we need to see that these people they need trained to do the job. Then we can go through the strategic training needs analysis. Again, back to the concept of aligning strategy and training goals. So we have this strategy, and to pursue that strategy, we need training with the skills, with the knowledge, so that people can help realize the strategy of the organization, right? And then we can analyze the current training needs. What are the skills of the people at the organization right now, and what we want them to be after the training, or what area of their skills or knowledge we can better, so that they can perform better. Okay. And then we can have the task analysis. We analyze a job through step by step what tasks are included in the job, and then we can see in each task what should we train, what method should we use to train the new employees, right? Also, we can use a talent management model to use competency models to train the people with the competencies that we need. Something like about English ability is a competency model, right? And we also need to analyze the performance to see that if there is any performance deficiency, if you know this term. Sorry. Viết ở trên này nó hơi khó rồi. Okay, so performance deficiencies means that some maybe decrease in the performance. Something's not good happening. Okay, so when we analyze the performance, let's say this person, he needs to sell 10 products a month. That is the standard. But this month, he only sells 6 products. So that is under the standard, right? And then they see this difference between 6 and 10. So they analyze the performance of the salesperson. So they find out that this salesperson cannot perform very well because maybe 2 reasons. Okay. Now, if I ask you, the reason, if the reason is that this salesperson, he lacks the motivation to do the job, is training a suitable method to improve his performance? So again, my question is, if this salesperson, he couldn't perform because he lacked motivation to do the job, will training be a suitable method to improve his performance? Một người sale mà bán được ít hơn mà bây giờ sau khi phân tích cái hiệu quả làm việc, sau khi analyze performance của anh ta và phát hiện là anh ta không có perform tốt tại vì thiếu cái động lực trong công việc, thì việc training nó có giải quyết được cái việc, nó có giải quyết được việc là sẽ làm tăng cái năng suất làm việc của người này lên không các bạn? Yes or no? He said yes. Long says no. So if they lack motivation, how can we train? How we can train to give them more information or more motivation? So training is training the skill and the knowledge, not the motivation. Okay. So if a person lacks no motivation, we can talk to them, we can try to inspire them, but not to train them. We have to find a different method. Yes, but if after we analyze and we find out that this salesperson, he lacks sales skills, okay, he doesn't have enough sales skills, then we can train. There's a need for training. Okay, so the need for training is that we consider, after we train someone, will that person be better at their performance? That is when there is a need for training. Otherwise, we should go to look for other methods. Okay. Đào tạo là để đào tạo kỹ năng và kiến thức cho nhân viên để họ làm việc tốt hơn, đúng không? Thì chỉ khi nào mà việc đào tạo nó góp phần tăng cái kỹ năng của nhân viên lên, tăng cái kiến thức của nhân viên lên và giúp cho thực hiện cái chiến lược của doanh nghiệp thì mình mới đào tạo. Còn không thì mình sẽ sử dụng một số cái biện pháp khác chứ không phải là đào tạo. Okay. So after conducting, so this is the, can see this is the task analysis, the step-by-step analysis of a job. So this is an example of the task analysis, like operate the paper cutter or start a motor and blah blah blah. So they can analyze each of the tasks and then they define the training that is needed for the task to be done, right? And this is some of the ways that we can identify how current employees are doing, so that we can see if there is any need to train current employees. We can look at their performance appraisal, some job-related performance data. We can observe the work that they do in the real environment. We can interview, or we can use a test, like for students. If I want to see how are you doing with your study, I can give you a test. And we can do the survey as well, or the diary. There's many ways to identify how current employees are doing, and then we can provide the necessary training for them. Okay, so can you think, like, if I am a lecturer, right, I am a teacher, do I need training, and what kind of skills do I still need? What kind of training do I still need if I am a lecturer? Một giảng viên như cô thì có cần phải training không các bạn? What do I need to train? What do I need to be trained? What skills do I need? Giảng viên thì cần training, yes, đúng. Nhưng mà những người giảng viên đã đi làm rồi thì bây giờ họ cần training về cái vấn đề gì? Yes, correct. And teachers, they not only teach, but they also do research. Okay, so we need to get trained on how to do research and stuff like that. Okay, so not just teachers, but almost every occupation, we need training for current employees to make sure that they follow with the work, and something new happens like COVID-19, we know what to do. Right? And after we analyze the training needs, so that we see, oh, there's a training need, we need to train, then we can design the training program. But after we analyze and we say there's no need to train, we have something else, so we don't need to design the program. So remember, only if we have a need for training, we design the program. So when we design the training program, we remember three things we need to design. So first is the objective, learning objective. What are the problems of training deficiencies? What are the problems here we want to fix after training? And the learning objectives need to be practical. And we need to think about the budget, so finance. What, how much we can spend for this training activities. So is the money we invest in worth the training? Yeah, if we have invest too much or not enough or anything. And thinking about the time as well. Everything takes time. Training even takes more time for people to learn, to understand, than to perform the work. So think about finance and time. Be practical to set learning objectives, correct? And think about the delivery methods. We will we will know about a lot of delivery methods in the later part of this chapter. But so many, but we have to pick the one that is suitable for the learning objectives, for the people that we are teaching, for the environment, for many other criteria. So pick the suitable delivery method. And then after training, what is the evaluation method? How can we know that we train and then we have the improvement in performance? How can we know there is an improvement or not, right? And then also remember to create a motivating environment, because most of the time people, when they see something new, especially current employees, when we see something new, we are very reluctant to learn it. So we have to create a motivating learning environment and take care about the abilities of the learners. Okay, because especially something on the internet, like e-learning on the internet. Maybe as a young lecturer, I am more adaptable to the internet environment and I can learn faster. But there are some lecturers, they are older than me. So maybe they are not very fast to work on the internet. So we need to consider what is the method for the person like me who is more familiar with the internet, and what is the method for the person like for older lecturers who aren't not familiar with the internet. So this is to address the training abilities, and we accommodate the difference like I told you before. If there is a difference between the abilities of employees, what do we need to do to remove that differences. So, but for me, I think if someone they go to work, right, they need to be motivated themselves to training, because training is good for everyone. And if a person they don't want to get trained, that's their fault. Okay, so especially when we go to work, we need to be aware that training is a very good opportunity for us to develop, and we should be very open about that, because the organization that invest money and time in training employees for a reason. They're not doing something for nothing. So to be trained is a good opportunity for us to develop. So we should be motivated ourselves. Okay, so you get my point, right? And uh, after designing program, and after motivate the trainee or the employees by some of method like this, we go to the next step, which is develop the program. So develop the programs means that we assemble means put together the program's training content and materials. Okay, so for the trainer, they can prepare the material themselves. They can create the training materials and content themselves, but they also can use a lot of or other sources from the book, from the internet, maybe from um, other advice or something like that. So remember that when we develop the program, we have a lot of information sources that we can use. We can develop our own information and content, but we can also use other sources like the internet to put them all together. And just like me, when I design the slides for the lecture, okay, I put some words, I put some pictures, I put some questions. So this is also the thinking, the mindset when we develop any presentation document. Okay? And when we develop the program, we implement the program. So phát triển khóa học, khóa đào tạo, and then implement, thực hiện đào tạo. Implements is when we actually provide the training program by using one or more delivery methods to maybe one person, but maybe 2-3 people, but maybe a lot of people in the organization. Like with the e-learning training, we have, I think, 100 trainees that I need to train in one session. There's a lot of people. It's a big room, and but also sometimes you only have one person to train, like coaching là huấn luyện đó các bạn. We have one person to coach, something like that. And to implement the training program, we have so many instructional methods, so many of them. So I just go through a bit of everything quickly, and you can read more about them in the textbook. Okay. So the first training method, also the very common one, is on-the-job training. On-the-job training. So we train someone when they do the job. Okay? We train someone when they do the job, the actual job. You remember about the example I talked with you yesterday about a job as a restaurant or her ice cream shop. So when new person comes, right, and they provide a training, ask the person to do the real job, and they can evaluate later. So we have different types of on-the-job training, which is coaching or understudy. So coaching or understudy means that we follow one person, maybe our manager, our supervisor, and then they will teach us the skills and we do the job. They can give feedback and like this happen like that. Um, so coaching or understudy is done by our maybe supervisor or direct manager. We can have job rotation. If you remember, what is job rotation? What is job rotation? Anyone can remember? Okay, if you don't have any answers, I just explain. Job rotation is we place the employee from one job to another one, maybe from department to another one, so that they can learn about a lot in a company or in a firm, right? The next type of on-the-job training is special assignment. We give someone a special job to do, special task to do, and they do all the job. Then we can evaluate. One very common method is peer training, which is our colleagues will train us. This is happening a lot because normally the managers they don't really have time to train a person from uh, A to Z, but they will talk about basic things and then they will transfer that person to their peer or their colleague to have them train the new person. So on the job training is very popular, right? And we have apprenticeship training. What does apprenticeship mean in Vietnamese? Apprenticeship in Vietnamese, can you Google it? Học việc. Yes, học nghề hay là học nghề. So apprenticeship training is the process in which people are trained through classroom instruction and on-the-job training. So học việc or apprenticeship is we have the formal learning which is classroom and on-the-job training. So they a combination. So that after graduated, a person can become skilled and they can do the job themselves. Can you name me some of the examples that a lot of jobs in Vietnam they have this apprenticeship training? Những việc nào thường thường có cái học việc này các bạn ở Việt Nam thôi ha? What kind of job that we have apprenticeship training? Việc gì hay có học nghề? Đầu bếp. Ai nữa? Yes, correct. Mechanic, right? Cơ khí ha, mechanic. Some job like that. Or maybe hairdresser. Làm tóc, right? So apprenticeship training is also a very common method for jobs that need skills and knowledge at the same time. This specific skills and then knowledge in the job at the same time. Another one is informal learning. So it's informal. The employees they just try to train themselves and facilitate their own learning. So it's informal. They don't have the specific learning, specific training program. So the learner the employees they can do it themselves, or they can use a lot of sources, and they can ask a lot of people. They get the knowledge, they get the skills. The next type of, this is some of the popular apprenticeships in um, America, and maybe in Vietnam as well, but in Vietnam we also already give some example, right? And the next type of training is this kind of training, which is job instruction training. Is training step by step training for employees. So we train someone to do something step by step instruction. Okay, and lectures is very quick and convenient way to train a lot of people. If we have like 100 trainees, lectures is a very good way. For program learning, is a systematic method, right? Because it's program, được lập trình ha các bạn, it's program. So they present some information, then the person they respond and giving immediate feedback, right? It's like when we do, imagine when we do a quiz for our course, and if you answer one question, you read the materials, right? You answer one question, and after that one question, just give you immediate feedback, and then you can do it again, or you can move to the next question. It's program learning. It's program được lập trình trước. And the next one is behavior modeling. So this is in Vietnamese we say mô hình làm mẫu, mô hình mẫu. So this is, we show the employees a process of how work to do, and then they can do it themselves, and we give feedback and praise their performance. Okay. Something like if we go to work for an airline as airline attendant, we can go through behavior modeling. So we see the supervisor doing the job, and we will follow them. They will give us feedback. They will tell us whether we are good or not, what we need to improve, what we are really good at, or something like that. And then we can we can understand about the work very clearly, and then we can do better next time. The basic procedures of behavior modeling is first modeling, show a model. Modeling, we show a good model. Then role playing, then the person, they play the role of the situation. And then social reinforcement, they share feedback and appraisal, and then they transfer the training. Okay, so these 4 types of training. And some of the next type of trainings is audio-visual based training. It's easy to understand, right? We use like the sound, the video, the PowerPoint films, something like that, to give the employees for them to train themselves. And if you know about the e-learning training in our university, so first of all, they will give us few videos, I think 7 videos about how to do stuff on e-learning. We have to see the videos and do it ourselves, and then we will go to the class with more people to help explain further information. Okay, this is how e-learning is trained at Hoa Sen University. Another one is very interesting type of training, which is vestibule training. So this is that we train the job, but in a simulated environment or equipment, because the job may be dangerous or because it is too expensive. Can you think of any job that may have this vestibule training? Vestibule training là đào tạo mà gọi là giả định nhưng mà nó giống thật đó các bạn. Thì công việc nào thì nó có thể là sử dụng cái hình thức này các bạn. Vì là tại gia đình là tại vì nó rất là có thể là cái công việc này nếu mà làm thật thì nó tốn kém hoặc là rất là nguy hiểm, cho nên người ta phải đưa ra những cái tình huống giả định hoặc có những thiết bị giả định trước, sau đó mới là thật. Công việc nào mà có hình thức này? Vestibule training. What job? What job? Okay, think about the example, right? I have one example for you, but because you don't want to answer, just think about it and find out the answer yourself. Right? Then we can go to the electronic performance support system. Again, this is computerized tool and display that help to automate. Automate means tự động. Automate the training program, the documents, and maybe they have the support through the phone. And they have job aid. Job aid is a instruction or some poster, some picture or diagram available at the job site or at the job environment to help the worker to read and not to forget to follow the procedures. Okay. If we go to Hoa Sen University, we will see the procedure to wash our hands. So that is one kind of the aid, job aid, not really job aid, but the aid that help people to, under, to understand and remember the instructions. Something like that would be with job aid. There's more trainings methods that we can use, mostly based on the technology. So video conferencing, computer-based training, simulated learning. It's like VR game, VR virtual reality. Thực tế ảo ha. Or something like animated guide and virtual classroom. So we don't need to go to a class together. We just do it virtually, like you and me now. We are doing virtual classroom. Mobile learning, we learn something through the mobile phone, through the app. When we need to learn, we open the app, we learn something, and then we can turn it off when we don't need, when we don't want to learn or something like that. Okay. So more training methods that we can use and read about this method, like lifelong learning, literacy training, and diversity training in your textbook. You can read at this slide and understand what they are and read more of them in your textbook. Okay. And we also do have some special type of training, which is cross-training or team training. Cross-training, we involve training employees to do different tasks or different jobs. And it goes with job rotation. So the people can be rotated into different jobs more than what they normally do, so that they can be more flexible, more skillful, and maybe they have more opportunity to develop. And we have team training. So this means that we train employees to do teamwork, to work with each other, to listen to each other, right? So some of the training that we can do in team training. And through the HRIS, which is Human Resource Information System, we have internet-based learning or learning portals. So internet-based learning is easy to understand, right? We learn something based on the internet. Every document, every information is delivered through the internet. And learning portals means that we have a part on our website that provide the learning materials for the employees. So this is the end of some of the training methods that we can use for new and current employees. This part is about management development. So we can take back about